We're going to be analyzing the poem Filling Station by Elizabeth Bishop, and we're looking at it specifically for tone, that is, the attitude of the author toward the subject, and to see if that tone changes throughout the poem. You'll be doing this with your Poetry Out Loud poem selection as well. So the first thing that we need to do is read the poem all the way through so that we know what's going on. And then we'll go back, and the second time we read it, we'll be highlighting the words with a negative connotation in blue and the words with a more positive connotation in red. So on this particular document, I've added some photos of some of the words in the poem because some students have told me that they don't know what those are, and so they don't know if they're positive or negative. So the first one here, this is a monkey suit. Okay, it's like coveralls that a mechanic would wear. This is a sofa made of wicker. It's almost like a basket material. This right here is a begonia, and a hirsute begonia means a hairy begonia. So the petals have kind of a soft fuzz on them. These are doilies. They're crocheted, and they're often used as decorative pieces. The one mentioned in the poem has a daisy stitch pattern on it. And then finally, Esso or ESO is the brand name of a company that made oil for cars. Okay, so the poem is called Filling Station. Oh, but it is dirty, this little filling station, oil-soaked, oil-permeated to a disturbing, overall black translucency. Be careful with that match. Father wears a dirty, oil-soaked monkey suit that cuts him under the arms, and several quick and saucy and greasy sons assist him. It's a family filling station, all quite thoroughly dirty. Do they live in the station? It has a cement porch behind the pumps, and on it a set of crushed and grease-impregnated wickerwork. On the wicker sofa, a dirty dog, quite comfy. Some comic books provide the only note of color, of certain color. They lie upon a big dim doily draping a tabaret, part of a set, beside the big hirsute begonia. Why the extraneous plant? Why the tabaret? Why, oh why the doily, embroidered in daisy stitch with marguerites, I think, and heavy with gray crochet. Somebody embroidered the doily. Somebody waters the plant, or oils it, maybe. Somebody arranges the rows of cans so that they softly say eso, so to high-strung automobiles. Somebody loves us all. I'll go back to the top, and I'm going to highlight, like I said, the words that are negative, like, oh, but it is dirty. Okay, we'll make that blue. Okay. This little filling station, oil-soaked, oil-permeated, to a disturbing all-over black translucency. Be careful with that match. It's almost a warning right there. Father wears a dirty, oil-soaked monkey suit that cuts him under the arms. And several quick and saucy and greasy sons assist him. All quite thoroughly dirty. Do they live in the station? It has a cement porch behind the pumps, and on it a set of crushed and grease-impregnated wickerwork. On the wicker sofa, a dirty dog, quite comfy. Some comic books provide the only note of color. Well, comic books are fairly positive, so I'll make them red. Of certain color, they lie upon a big, dim doily draping a tabaret. A tabaret is like a little side table. Okay, it's quite a decorative thing. And then we have our big, fuzzy begonia. Oops. Why the extraneous plant? Extraneous means extra. Why the tabaret? Why, oh why the doily, embroidered in daisy stitch with marguerites, I think. Somebody embroidered the doily. Somebody waters the plant, or oils it maybe. And arranges the rows of cans so that they softly say, you sew, sew, sew. To high-strung automobiles. Somebody loves us all. Okay, so if we look at this poem, we back up and look at it. Okay, clearly it has what we call a tone shift. In fact, what a tone shift is, if there's a place in the poem, sometimes there's even more than one, where it very clearly switches from a positive to a negative or a negative to a positive. And it could happen several times within a poem. We call that a tone shift. Okay. And it's done quite deliberately, of course. And so as you're considering what is the theme or the message of a particular poem, it's important to keep in mind how the author's attitude would change. So the first half, okay, what is the author's attitude toward this station? Well, it's very oil-soaked, it's very dirty. To me, it seems she's quite disgusted with it, even a little repulsed by it. But then it changes, and as she looks a little closer, she starts to notice things amidst all the grease and the dirt and all the unpleasantness. She starts to notice a few things that are a little surprising and actually quite pleasant. Things like the begonia, things like an embroidered doily. Okay, we have some comic books on a little on a little table there. And so the tone shifts and becomes almost kind of curious and interested. And so as the author's attitude changes, then the theme of the poem is going to change. That will be reflected in the theme. So if we look at what this poem means, what the message of it is, you cannot overlook the power of this last line. So this last line says, somebody loves us all. So as you go all the way through the poem, they're talking about this filling station. And then you get to the last line, somebody loves us all. I don't think they're talking about a filling station any longer. They're talking about us. And they're comparing us, people, to this filling station. And if you consider, okay, not everyone is appealing at first glance. There are people out there that are quite rough around the edges, that are a bit dirty. Maybe they don't speak so very well. And there are even times when all of us are really not very pleasant to be around. Okay? We're a bit repulsive and not the friendliest. Okay? But I think what Elizabeth Bishop is saying is to look a little closer, that there's something good and admirable in everything, every person, and these things show that everyone is to be admired. There's something good about everyone. In the last line, somebody loves us all. So everyone out there, no matter how rough or how disagreeable they may be, okay, someone does love and care for them. And it's up to us to kind of look past the roughness and to see the good qualities. So this is an example of what you'll be doing with your Poetry Out Loud poem. Okay? You're going to highlight it the same way that I did this one. Okay? Mark the negative words in blue. Mark the more positive words in red. If there is a definite change, okay, mark the tone shift. Your poem may not have that, and that's perfectly fine. Not all poems do. Okay? Then you're going to identify the mood, okay, the feeling that the poem gives you, and then you're going to translate that into the attitude of the poet. What is their attitude toward the subject of the poem? Okay? And then finally, how does that help connect to the theme or the message of the poem that you identified last week?